One of South Africa's most celebrated actors, ours Brenda, has just made it known or has just spoken about her departure into what would have been seen as her involvement into what we have come to know as bungomarism and the whole nine hwajes of people being initiated and the whole nine hwajes. Now, I absolutely love this story. I'm going to talk about it, of course. I'm going to talk about it, of course. But there is also another element that I want to bring back. I'm bringing it back because I spoke about it after Auspalesa. After Auspalesa actually made her exit out of Bungoma directions and all that entire jazz. And so on this particular episode, I want to bring this particular subject back because on the back of this story, because of what our Brenda's image was like for me, for a person like myself. Now you might be thinking, hi Ricky, what are you talking about? Our Brenda was one of the actors in a television show called Home Affairs. The way that show was so emotionally rigged. I believe my interest into storytelling was off of that show when she acted alongside another veteran actor. In that story, Vatisa, I loved that show. You know, at home, we're not allowed to watch too much TV. But that show, we did watch. And I followed that show and that particular character. You got invested into people's story. I mean, I was young by then, but you got very invested, heavily invested into the characters used in that particular show. There was one of these other scenes inside there where she breaks down the heartbreaking news to her mother about an experience that she had. And I want to play you that just before I actually talk about this story. It's the Rick's Reality Show. We do daily Christian commentary videos. If it's the first time over here, be sure to check out some other videos that are down in the pinned comments, and I'm going to check you out over there.
Mama. Ekho into bengifuna ukuxela yona.
Thetha nje wena. Yintoni nguthabani?
Hayi mama yini.
Yintoni Vukas? Thetha.
Yakhumbula ngoku yandani thena gilwa itaxi.
Laa nto yakudala?
Mama. Zange ngigilwe itaxi ma.
Kanti igxalaba lakho lonzakala njani?
Ndandibaleka ndawa.
Wawubaleka? Wawubaleka ntoni?
Ndandibaleka amanye amadoda ma. Mama ndaritsho.
Now, that show was such it's a different time. Like when you listen to the realism in the story was very heavy. When y'all still used to write stories. Nowadays, I don't know what it ends up. I don't know, man. You know, but the story, you get very heavily invested into the character, not because it's really their life, but because you now understand someone's position who might be in such a position. That particular episode was one of a highlight of Brenda's thing. Now, why do I make such a reminder of this particular episode? As painful of a story as she was telling there, it's the story of many people, right? And so she had gone through such a traumatic experience, and the mother was not even aware. And now the mother is finding out at this particular moment. And so you see Vatiswa kind of taking on that role of a parent hearing such a thing from their child. You can only imagine, how do you even portray such a character? It not being your experience, but you know if you were a parent, it will just grip you differently. That show was one of a very amazing stories in South Africa. But I bring that story back, but that particular role that she played there, to talk about this particular subject of her making her announcement of exiting Ubungoma and so forth. Because when we understand these particular roles that these people played, we understand then why influence is the thing that the devil is targeting. He is targeting influence. Don't take it lightly. We made an interview with House Portia, and she mentioned this thing that you could actually put out a ritual to recruit or to get new recruits. And so that's the dangers of it, is that most people, the devil is at work using your influence. Because we are so attached, remember, you acted that role, or you were part of that role where people heavily invest. I'm talking about a story that I loved dearly. That show, till date, I hold it. Generation, the first one, not this other one. The first generation. Home Affairs, Soul City. There was that other show with kids on the bikes and whatnot and stuff like that back in the 90s and so forth. These shows meant something. These people that we saw acting these roles, like, the Yo TV that you knew from back then, it meant something. Okay? So people would see my episode talking about Udisan Rave. They say, why do you hate the girl so much? It's not that. It's that these are people we were heavily invested into. Okay? When people came, let me tell you, see, Yo TV played at a time when I just come back home. And so, that was the one thing that you watched before there was Abo Bold and the Beautiful. So people like me never saw, what do you call them? Dragon Ball Z. I was not invested into Dragon Ball Z because around Dragon Ball Z time, there were now those stories, those soapies used to start playing at that time. And so Your TV was one of the first things the only thing that you would have seen before television was taken from you. And then they start playing our Golden and the Beautiful, All My Children, all those soapies. And then you go into the heavily South African soapies and stuff like that played around that particular period. So you see the influence of these people. It's so heavy that it will sway so many people because you got so heavily invested. Influence means something, okay? These people's influence means so much. And so that's why I'm bringing that. You see, that's why I'm bringing that particular character that Brenda played. This particular role puts Brenda at a different level of acting and Vatiswa. Those two roles, okay, were the reason why I was going entertainment in my early part of my life. I absolutely hold her in one of those high regards with Abo Sam and Abo Palisa. I was not just being a fan of them when they were here. It's because those shows meant something. It was the one thing that you actually got to see on television. And so I wanted that to be very clear, that particular aspect of influence or their influence to be very clear on why so many people have been all of the sudden going towards, dragged towards ubungoma. I never meant to entertain it. Brenda reveals why she left ubungoma. And so the article then goes further down there. Brenda has revealed why she withdrew from being a Sangoma to becoming a Christian. Ah, wonderful. Wonderful. Welcome home, sisterhood. Welcome home. Welcome home, where God, being creator, redeems us and builds back our relationship with Him. That's what being a Christian is for those. You have to watch my episode on Casper, when Casper converted. I'll leave it down in the pinned comment, because there I explained why do we become born again. And so the article goes on to say, pinning an appreciation post dedicated to her daughter on a timeline on Thursday, the actor spoke of how motherhood changed her perspective. You can see it in her Instagram. I don't even have to open it. You know, she's also an advocate for breastfeeding. Viva. Viva. You want them to breastfeed where? You know, those people that take offense at people breastfeeding in public. You want them to breastfeed where? Okay? And so in her article, she absolutely, you will see it in her Instagram that she loves motherhood. It's a huge part of her life. It changed her perspective. The article goes to says I left bungomahood for motherhood and Christianity. Thank you. Okay, you've arrived and has opened my eyes and heart to mine, to what is mine and what should be left for others to enjoy. Sangoma is just not for me. I don't judge, but the good Lord knows I was never meant to entertain. She wrote this on her title. Brenda took on her calling around 2019. Okay, break down the timeline of her accepting her spiritual journey and the whole nine watches. Okay, Brenda's absence in the scene sparked a sort of rumor, but she cleared the air when she spoke to Drum, particularly concerning that and all that entire watches. Y'all can go read the article. This particular one that I'm reading here is from Times Life, and so you can see the heading. And so she has returned back unto the Lord and left that over there, because there's no relationship with God there. Our ancestors are not our creator. They are parents to whom we are given for them to model us towards relationship with Him. They are not creator. They don't define us. It is God that defines us. And so I wanted to bring that particular aspect of this particular topic of why these influential people are having so much flood of having all these supposed callings, is that you have an influential spot. You should continue praying for these people, because, like, for example, have very strong prayers for a person like what's his name? I recently spoke about him. Imitandas, the guy who sings Imitandas. The way that guy has a grip on people, it's very different. I'll talk about it maybe on a different episode, because I felt very heavily when listening to that particular song, Imitandas. You can hear the poetry lines up. You know, when you have someone, the same way I'm talking about House Brenda here, okay? When you have someone grip the community or the people at that level, the devil is going to come for you. Why? Because you have now this influence on people. If he takes you, okay, that's me. That's not what Brenda said. Ne? That's what. It allows him to shift the narrative. It allows him to change the minds of those that would have not, because your influence is of that much importance. I'm talking about us, Brenda's particular role, so that you can see how much invested we became into those characters. So we attach those characters with them. It's not them, but because we were so much drawn to the character through them, when they lead, people follow. It's a form of evangelism. Strict Reality Show, we do daily Christian commentary videos. If it's your first time of year, be sure to check out some other videos that are down in the pinned comments, and I'm going to check you out over there. Wonderful to see and amazing to witness. The Bible says, how great is the feet of those that carry the message or the good news of the gospel, when our everyday life is a depiction of his grace. The reason why the devil wants you is because of the influence, that grip that you've had. Like even when I was playing that episode, I almost had a tear in my eye, because you can feel there. You get so invested into, you would want to just enter the screen and hug her. To say, it'll be okay. So that investment is what the devil wants. That influence you have. That you've gripped so many of us with these characters that you played. He's pursuing that. It's Ricky, and I hope you get me.